I'm interested in how to get into IT federal contact jobs with no prior security clearance.
Okay.
Awesome. I'm going to give you a couple of tips that I've used in the past that have worked really well. For those of you who've been following me for a while, I started out, back in the day up in Maryland, which was right in the backyard of the NSA. And I worked for a community college up there called Anne Arundel Community College. And when I worked there, we had a 1 year program that taught them their A plus, Net plus, Security plus, and CCNA. So when they got out, they'd be set up to be ready to go take a job as an entry level cybersecurity analyst. This was before CISA was even a thing. Now they actually added CISA into that as well because that now exists. So we did the four certs I just mentioned. What I always told my students and what worked for a lot of them was to go get a job at one of the government agencies doing work nobody else wanted. For instance, if you live in Maryland and you're near the NSA and you get a job as a janitor, they will pay you 15 bucks an hour to take out the trash every night. But because you're going into classified rooms, you need to have a top secret clearance to do that. Because they have a lot of people who don't want to go get a job as a janitor, they will hire you on as a janitor, get you your clearance that may take them 3 months or 6 months. Once you have the clearance, you're now in the building, you're working as a janitor, you're finishing up your certs. By the time you finish your year of college, you now have A plus, Net plus, Security plus, and CCNA. And by the way, you now have a top secret clearance from being a janitor. Guess what? Those people were walking in the door making $80,000 a year at the end of their 1 year of college. So that was a way that I saw people kind of circumvent the system. So if you're near a government facility, base, CIA, FBI, Treasury, NSA, they all need at least a secret or a top secret clearance. That's a way to do it. Take a job nobody else wants. People who worked in the cafeteria, they also had clearances. So again, not the job you probably want, but it gets you to where you need to be. And once you have that clearance stays with you for 5 years. Once you have it, it's very easy to re up. I will tell you for me, my clearance is no longer active because I've been out of that world for a couple of years now. And so if I wanted to go get a job, even as qualified as I am, back at the NSA, it would probably take me 6 to 9 months to get back in there because I'd have to go through that whole security process again, including the polygraph, including all the paperwork, all the background checks, all the financial checks that goes into that. So it is a long and drawn out process, unfortunately. The best way around that is to work for the government in some other capacity. And then the other recommendation I would have is check out usajobs.gov, which is the clearinghouse for US government jobs that are civilian jobs, not contract jobs. If I'm hiring you as a contractor, I have to pick up the tab for your service, and the government doesn't reimburse me until your butt's in the seat doing the work, which could take 9 to 12 months. And even then, they're not paying me back for the 9 months I waited for your clearance. If I hire you as a secretary, a janitor, even a level one help desk person as a government employee, the government doesn't have that same stigma and they don't care if you have a clearance or not. They'll still hire you and put you through the regular process. So going direct to the government will work out well for you. The biggest drawback to that is the government tends to pay less. You'll usually find that contractors will pay you at least 50 to 100% more in salary than the government. So where the government might hire you on as a GS7 making $45,000 a year, that
Yep.
same job as a contractor might pay 75 or $80,000, almost double, right? But if you're trying to get in, getting that clearance from a civilian way is a way to go. The other way you can do it is a lot of people don't want to do this, but you can join the military. That's one way to do it. That's what Jamario did. He's got his clearance from joining the military.
Right.
His clearance
Yep.
will be going away here pretty soon because he's been out of the military for a while now.
Get
And then another way you can do it is military reservists. I have a couple guys on my team that are military reservists, so they do 1 weekend a month with the military and 2 weeks a year. And by doing that, they are getting training from the military. They're getting their health insurance from the military, and they're working 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year over in California, and they have their clearance because of that. And so the person I hired, one of my other hires recently, he's on our development team. He actually had a job as a master at arms in the Navy, which is basically a military policeman. And because of that, he had a secret clearance. He now is working as a reservist and he's moving into the cybersecurity field in the reserves. For us, he's actually a developer. He's a coder. And so he builds our back end of our website. And so that's a way to get your clearance as well as if you work as a reservist, the Navy, Air Force, whoever will give you your clearance. But that only works if you're, 20 to 40 years old in good health and can pass the physicals and don't mind being a part of the military. But that's another way I've seen a lot of people break into that world. Any other ways you've seen, Jamar? I think I kind of probably covered them all.
Well, I think the question, I'm not sure if it was specific to or just federal contractors, because I don't believe every single federal contract you need a security clearance, because there's a lot of
you're,
contracts
you're
for,
exactly right. You don't.
yeah, like federal information. So just say like the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Justice, all those different sectors, they have contracts with big primary contractors, right? Like Accenture.
Yep.
And so those developers that are on that team, they don't have, because you're not touching secret information. I mean, the confidential information, typically the highest it goes to. So you can be a contractor on the non-DoD side and also get a job that way. Yep.
Yep, that's a great point. So yeah, when I'm talking about the clearance levels, when we talk about unclassified, that's everybody. When we talk about no foreign, it just means no foreign nationals. So if you're from India, you can't get a job working for a company that's working on a classified project because you are a foreign national, for instance. Whereas if you go into your confidential and then secret and then top secret and then all the caveats, all of that is DoD side, military side. But there's another thing called public trust out there, which is really easy to get. And so if you ever see that says public trust required on a job description, apply anyway, because they can get you that public trust in about 30 days. So most companies won't worry about that. And that's what's used by Health and Human Services, Social Security Administration, and there's a couple other ones out there. I have a friend who works for Social Security Administration. He is a contractor for them, and he does not have a clearance, right? Because what he's working on is Amazon Cloud Services, and he's doing a bunch of back-end coding for them. And he never touches the information. He just touches the infrastructure. And all he needed was a public trust for that. And so there's a very easy way to do that. So that's another way in. You can still work as a government contractor, but not in the clearance space. I will say, if you have the opportunity to get a job with a clearance, do it. The reason why is once you have that clearance, it is so much easier to move to other contract companies or other government agencies because, like I said, it's a 9 to 18-month process. And
Yeah.
so if I have a choice of hiring Jamario with a clearance or you who is better qualified without a clearance, I'm going to hire Jamario as a government contractor doing that classified work because it's cheaper for me. And so, keep that in mind as well. But there are lots of different jobs out there that you can get that do or do not require clearance as you're breaking through.